I just watched what happened to Shedeur Sanders in the Cleveland Browns' third and final preseason game. And I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League.
Flacco. Over the middle, into the end zone. Cedric Tillman, touchdown, and the Browns lead.
Now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski. So, yeah, Flacco started today, and I'll give you this, he played well.
Joe Flacco starting. Shedeur Sanders benched. The league's most electric rookie quarterback watching from the sideline during primetime's most anticipated matchup. Instantly, you could feel the atmospheric shift. Tailgaters checking phones, expressions transforming from anticipation to bewilderment. What had been weeks of build, the intoxicating mix of hope, excitement, and belief that Cleveland finally had its franchise quarterback, evaporated like steam and winter air. This wasn't merely a lineup adjustment. It felt like a breach of trust.
Similar to what I said with Mike McDaniel, I've never heard any dissatisfaction with Kevin Stefanski in that building. And again, two-time coach of the year. At quarterback right now, he's going with Joe Flacco, and then the two rookies are behind him on the depth chart. We saw Shedeur Sanders look very good in the first preseason game that he played. We saw him look very overwhelmed in the second preseason game he played, and I think that's all fair. He is a rookie. He's a work in progress. The Browns are happy with the progress that he's making, but they don't feel it's to the point where they can put him in a game as a starter. Might that come down the road? Of course. Dylan Gabriel was taken 2 rounds earlier, and my sense of it would be that if Flacco were to get injured or to falter, that Gabriel would get the first crack at it ahead of Sanders based on, again, they obviously thought more highly of him. They took him 2 rounds earlier.
Your turn. Sound off. Did Kevin Stefanski just commit coaching malpractice? Should Shedeur start next week no matter what? Did the league and networks oversell a matchup they couldn't deliver? Who do you blame most? Coach, front office, or ownership? If you're Jimmy Haslam, what's your next move? Did sports books and fantasy platforms get blindsided? Would you trade for Shedeur if you're a QB-needy team? What's your final verdict? Flacco bridge or Shedeur now? Drop your take in the comments. I'm replying to early comments. Before we dive in, smash like, share this with a friend, and subscribe to Octa Edge NFL for daily, no-fluff football breakdowns. Turn on the bell so you never miss a drop. Let's set the context. For 3 straight weeks, the Browns' marketing machine went full throttle. Sanders versus Burrow, the generational quarterback duel. Young phenoms representing football's future. Every promo featured Shedeur. Social teams amplified his dynamic playmaking. Pre-game shows teased the showdown non-stop. NFL Network broke down how Shedeur could attack Cincinnati's aggressive defense. ESPN rolled out custom packages. Amazon prepped dedicated cams to track his every move. This wasn't accidental. League executives know star power equals engagement. Then the numbers hit like a cold bath. According to multiple industry sources with access to preliminary viewership data, the opening quarter drew roughly 18.2 million viewers. By halftime, 11.7 million. Fourth quarter, around 9.3 million. For perspective, the previous Browns-Bengals primetime meeting averaged 22.4 million throughout. That's a 40% hemorrhage. Network execs reportedly jumped on emergency calls mid-game. Advertisers demanded answers. This drifted from disappointing to catastrophic. Millions in ad revenue, streaming subs, fantasy engagement, and betting handle at risk. Inside the stadium, the vibe flipped from electric to resigned. Season ticket holders, who paid premium prices for Shedeur's primetime debut, got Joe Flacco running conservative play action. The roars turned into scattered, half-hearted applause. By the third quarter, whole sections emptied. Concourse complaints drowned out on-field sound. Merch stands saw Shedeur jerseys returned or abandoned. One vendor called it Black Friday in reverse. Social media? Instant wildfire. Hashtag Shedeur, hashtag Start Shedeur, and hashtag Fire Stefanski trended nationally within minutes. One viral post nailed the mood. The only reason I was watching was for Shedeur. They benched him. I'm out. It racked up 6-figure likes and retweets and became the anthem of fan revolt. And here's where it gets even messier. Multiple insiders say Shedeur himself was blindsided, told roughly an hour before kickoff after a full warm-up and mental prep for a primetime showcase. Teammates reportedly saw him rip off his helmet and stalk toward the tunnel before veterans intervened. That lonely sideline visual, helmet off, arms crossed, became the defining image of the night. Stefanski's post-game explanation convinced nobody. He projected confidence, cited matchups, and said it gave the team the best chance to win. Reporters pressed, which matchups changed hours before kickoff? Why wasn't it communicated earlier? What specific defensive looks demanded benching your most dynamic playmaker? The answer sounded like coach speak to a fan base that felt deceived. Performance? That's where the rationale falls apart. Flacco's line, 18 of 31, 186 yards, 1 TD, 2 picks, 3 sacks. The offense totaled 268 yards, went 4 for 13 on third down, and scored 17 points. Cincinnati won 27-10, and even that flattered Cleveland. Garbage time production against prevention made it look closer than it was. The offense looked exactly like you'd fear with a 39-year-old behind a patchwork line facing an aggressive rush. Predictable, plodding, and devoid of explosives. Meanwhile, Shedeur had spent 3 weeks justifying the elevation. Preseason and training camp buzz about 67% completions, 9.2 yards per attempt, 7 TDs to 1 pick, and a reel of second reaction magic. In practice, per multiple coaches, he hit throws Flacco can't physically make anymore, extended plays, and injected juice into a unit starving for it. Privately, most acknowledged Shedeur gave them the best shot at offensive explosion, yet the choice was Flacco. Locker room dynamics? Fragile. Receivers who'd repped route concepts for Shedeur's velocity and timing suddenly adjusted to a different arm. The O-line, already stretched, knew their QB had limited mobility. The defense, carrying the team's competitive hope, watched its efforts squandered. Myles Garrett offered measured support without a full endorsement. Nick Chubb said the right things through gritted teeth. Younger guys quietly liked posts demanding Shedeur, an unmistakable digital paper trail of frustration. Ownership angle? Massive. Jimmy Haslam personally championed drafting Shedeur. Marketing spent millions positioning him as the franchise face. Business ops projected revenue around his brand. So Stefanski's unilateral decision didn't just bench a quarterback, it undercut ownership strategy, marketing's campaign, and revenue projections. Sources say Haslam was apoplectic watching the ratings crater and demanded immediate answers. National reaction was brutal. Analysts torched the decision. Former players called it malpractice. Colin Cowherd devoted a segment to the most destructive coaching call of the modern era. Stephen A. Smith's "They benched Shedeur" clip went instantly memorable. Pat McAfee simply tweeted, "Brown's gonna Brown," and somehow nailed the absurdity. The gambling and fantasy fallout added chaos. Books had Cleveland as a home favorite, largely anticipating Shedeur. His benching triggered violent line movement. FanDuel moved to refund certain Sanders props. DraftKings faced a customer service storm after fantasy players demanded changes after lock. One star can anchor entire microeconomies of engagement. Yank him, and everything ripples. The why behind the why? Multiple sources frame this as power politics more than football. With ownership heavily involved in the draft, Stefanski reportedly felt his authority slipping and chose this primetime showcase to reassert control. If that's accurate, it backfired spectacularly. Instead of leadership, it read as pettiness. Instead of autonomy, insecurity. Instead of unity, fracture. From the league office's view, the stakes are bigger than Cleveland. The NFL and partners invested heavily in marketing the next wave of QBs. Shedeur is centerpiece content for younger demos. Yank him without warning, and you don't just dent one broadcast, you shake faith in the league's narrative engine. Multiple owners, per reports, contacted Park Avenue to voice concern about competitive integrity and entertainment value. And remember the calendar. This happened while the NFL is battling MLB postseason, NBA opening week, and college championship pushes. The league needed a fireworks show. Instead, we watched checkdowns and channel changes. Fantasy needs stats. Betting needs uncertainty and punch. The media needs stars. Shedeur delivers all three. His absence created a vacuum, nothing filled. The morning after was chaos. Local radio took non-stop angry calls. Beat writers reported conflicting locker room accounts. National shows hunted every angle to explain the unexplainable. Shedeur stayed publicly silent, while his camp quietly signaled that nothing is off the table if this continues. Deion Sanders posted cryptic lines about worth and fit. Around the league, front offices began running what-if trade scenarios. Agents took notes, and some are now inserting protection clauses into future QB deals. The NFLPA, per chatter, is watching the situation. Cleveland's damage control didn't land. Anonymous quotes suddenly questioned Shedeur's readiness, concerns never raised before. Friendly media wrote about maintaining coaching authority. Official socials pivoted to generic content. Fans weren't buying it. Season ticket renewal questions spiked. Merch dipped. Corporate partners asked about brand risk. The big lesson is that modern NFL economics run on star power. Young, dynamic quarterbacks aren't just players, they're content engines and revenue multipliers. Benching Shedeur wasn't just a football call, it was a business blunder. Stefanski might have won a theoretical argument about authority and lost the war for relevance, revenue, and fan loyalty. What happens next? There are only two viable paths. Course correct immediately, admit the mistake, and install Shedeur as the permanent starter. Reunify the locker room, repair trust with fans, partners, and the league. Or brace for organizational upheaval. When money, ratings, and goodwill erode, history says coaches become the first casualties. I'll say it plainly. The NFL needs stars. Fans demand entertainment. Networks require viewership. Shedeur checks all three boxes. Sunday night proved it with brutal clarity. If you're still here, you're real family. Drop your hottest take below, smash like, and subscribe to Octa Edge NFL for smart, fast football content every day. I'll feature the best comments in the next video. Let's build this community.